world surrounded by franchises, reboots, and shared universes. An elite team of podcasters will risk body and soul to investigate the depths of intellectual properties, one multiverse, subgenre, and trend at a time. Who are we? We're the IP Squad. Welcome back to the IP Squad, our ongoing investigation into films adapted from pulp and comic strip heroes. I'm John Campbell. My partners for this investigation, we call them the Jones boys around here. We've got Brendan Jones.
That's me.
Robin Jones.
Hey, here at the squad, Brendan's kind of the egghead, kind of the researcher.
Yeah,
but I'm from the streets.
Yeah, that's right. This
I'm
not
the
a
Serpico of the squad. I don't listen to the man.
And John,
I know the man, and I'm from the streets.
Turkey.
And
I'm
listen, all you jive turkeys, and welcome to our spin-off podcast, Yapping About Yafet. And we're gonna get all Cotto on you.
You know what? I actually,
sponsored by Casper Mattresses. Because when you want to take your fine, right-on lady back home, your sister's going to want the finest of fine mattresses. Casper's
I can't believe that mattress comes in a box roughly the shape of a mini fridge.
This is crazy.
You love those mini fridge boxes.
I want to see.
I sleep in one. I didn't know they had
one. It keeps me young.
I need to see more blaxploitation-esque ads for Casper mattresses where, a fine honey gets taken back. She goes, "Say, is that a Casper?" You damn right.
Damn right.
Only the finest.
Hey, did you guys like in Friday Foster how Peter Frampton keeps showing up on the soundtrack?
Oh, no fair that you jumped right there. I was about to say the only good thing that came out of this movie. The only good thing that came out of this movie was Frampton comes alive.
Frampton comes alive.
Wow.
I will say, yes, we are talking about from 1975. It's Friday Foster, and I will say, since I watched it last night, I can't get out of my head. Hey, Friday, what you doing, girl? What you doing, girl? Just
do.
Yeah. I just
listen. If you don't come away with this with a new appreciation for Fancy, the most forward, corporate yet people friendly of the pimps.
Then,
well,
he's so good.
When he outlined his health and welfare benefits,
he
was about a beat away from talking about the 401k. You know what I mean? Fancy.
Let's not go there yet. We haven't even kicked off.
We got to kick off here because
Brennan, tell me in your research, because you love those books. You like that reading, those libraries. I don't know from that. I'm from the streets.
He's from the.
I know.
Tell me that they had a Fancy and a Ford in the comic strip, and that these weren't, and a Madame Rena, that these weren't made up for the movie. Please tell me that those are running characters, like in Dick Tracy when they had the Granny Gertie or the old lady and the toothless old dude, like that.
Yes, most of these characters actually did come from the comic strip.
That makes sense.
Blake Tar? Blake
Tar? Yes. Colt Hawkins? Yes. Also known as Black Hawk? Yes.
Black Hawk?
Well, that felt like it really had to be from the comics, right?
Yeah, but it is interesting what they changed. So I'll give you the lowdown. On,
baby.
Foster. So
what's Friday doing?
There is a reason.
What's up with that right-on woman?
There's a reason to respect this comic strip because it was, of course, like the first. Really, it has not just a black character at the center, it's a black woman, and for the time, because it debuted in 1970, that was pretty amazing. Is it a little sad that to make this happen, written by a white man,
Mark's brother they don't talk about, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Ghetto Mark.
James
Gummo,
Duncan Lawrence,
Depo, Ghetto.
and
He
Ghetto-
grew up on the
Ghetto Mark.
streets.
Yeah, he grew up on the streets. Not quite. But he was actually a writer on the James Bond strip, which had been running for
great.
a long time.
The James
what I
Bond
love
comic
is
strip is fantastic.
the guy also wrote a bunch of
Right.
Tom Swift and Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew novels. But from
The Ride
1969,
On street
yeah.
level novels. that
Yes,
they did?
those. He wrote
The Hardy
a couple
Boys
of
in
Mission
Harlem.
Impossible.
The Hardy
wrote a
Brothers.
He wrote a couple of Mission Impossibles books.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And he wrote, from '69, he did Man with a Golden Gun, Octopussy, and The Spy Who Loved Me, the strips.
Love 'em.
So those are great. But this guy is
Yeah.
named Jim Lawrence, and he literally just pitched it by saying, I want to do this, but I want it to essentially, it's an updated Brenda Starr. And I know we're going to get to Brenda Starr.
Yes.
This was
Oh, yes.
basically the take.
Brenda Starr, which I believe both myself and my younger brother watched on TV when it first came out.
I believe it.
Well,
On the
it depends on which
ABC
Brenda Starr you're talking about.
Friday night movie.
Yeah, that was the one with
Jill St. John.
Oh,
Jill
we're
St. John.
talking about
Oh,
the.
yes.
Yeah, we're talking
We're
about the
gonna be
later.
talking about
The 80s
Brooke
one.
Brooke Shields?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Brooke Shields movie.
Okay, well.
But regardless, it is
we're too busy
based on the
seeing
same
Alan
concept.
Porter make.
And I will say, having read some, it isn't. It's good. It doesn't seem like a white guy trying to go, I'm gonna ghetto the heck out of this thing.
Like
Friday
like
is
me, perhaps.
Well, Friday lives in Harlem with her younger brother. We get this
Oh,
in
yes.
the movie,
Oh, yes.
even though this movie, she's living. That doesn't look like Harlem, and
No,
that is
it looks
very,
like the Linda Vista.
Yeah, it looks very upscale. But the story is basically the same. She is a struggling fashion photographer, and her fashion photos get the notice of this magazine. In the comic strip, pretty much all the supporting characters that aren't in Harlem, like her boss at the magazine is not a black guy like in the movie.
Yeah.
It's a white woman. And the white photographer guy that we see in the movie, he is the second lead of the comic strip. They are like a Steed and Mrs. Peel of a kind. What I like about it is in the comic strip, they're a platonic friendship. It never goes romantic. She has boyfriends like the ones we see in the movie, but
The three.
the three. Man, at the end, I was like, going, "Are they all just gonna?"
Yeah,
It seemed like it.
I'm just saying.
I think they're all gonna end up okay. And God bless.
Yeah.
God bless.
No judgment here on this podcast.
No judgment here.
No.
But yeah, so what's interesting is Sean North is this big character in the comic strip, and in the movie, not only is he sidelined and has like 2 scenes, terrible actor. So I was like, okay, all right. But anyway,
he looked like he reminded me of Robert Hunter Jr. You know, the guy who played Charlie X on.
Oh yes, yeah.
A little bit,
and I just kept thinking. So Robert Hunter Jr. didn't return his phone calls that day.
Man, by the way, the guy who played Sean North in this movie has a comic book character name in real life, and it's Stan Stratton.
Yeah,
that sounds like
anytime you go alliterative.
Stan Stratton. This is one of his 5 acting credits in his entire career.
Yeah.
This is.
I mean, I guess
his screen
the purists in the
debut
audience would be like, at least we get a Sean North. And you're like, okay.
This is his screen debut. He also did an episode of The Blue Knight, a movie called Phantasm. 2 episodes.
What?
Phantasm.
Phantasm?
Not
the tall man.
No. This is a. I think this is an adults only film.
Up with the Phantasm.
This is Phantasm. Phantasm with an F, and I believe it's meant to be more like phantasm as an orgasm. Phantasm.
Oh, okay.
John Holmes is the lead. No, sorry, I can finish up his career very easily. 2 episodes of the Logan's Run TV show, and his final appearance in the movie that very few people remember, the Steve McQueen movie, Enemy of the People.
All right.
it was part of the American, not American Playhouse, but it was a film company devoted to realizing
Yes.
classic plays in film.
Yes.
And so you had Jane Fonda and Ibsen film, and
This is Ibsen's
Dollhouse
Enemy of the People
and
with
Iceman Cometh, this really classic production of Iceman
and this was
Cometh.
McQueen being like, "Look, this is
Trying to
real
be
deal."
I'm a serious actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, that
it's,
one almost
yeah.
killed his career.
Sorry, but I'm just saying to speak to how this guy didn't do anything else is basically what I'm saying.
No,
Wow.
that's okay.
I think they found him in an open field.
But
He's still there too.
Yeah, I just Jesus God.
So the comic strip lasted 70 to 74. It ran in lots of papers, but also in it was talked up in Jet magazine.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
And again, for its
Right
time,
on.
it is beautifully illustrated. That's the reason I first knew about it.
Yeah.
Actually, Spanish illustrator,
Gorgeous.
Jorge Longaron. I don't know
Oh
if that's how you pronounce
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
But
I remember that.
her character in the comic strips is she's smart. She doesn't talk street, but she does live in Harlem. So yes, there are side characters like your favorite, like Fancy, who is not explicitly in the comic strip of Pimp. What's interesting about the movie is
Nor in this movie. No, I was gonna say
they did an R-rated version of Friday Foster. Was a family strip essentially. Because she goes on adventures and there are mysteries, and she and her photographer friend, because she also becomes a model. He's like, Friday, you should get out from behind the camera. You're beautiful. And so
that makes sense.
It's a sexy comic strip without being
But I was going to say the thing about this movie does not need to be R-rated is what I will say too. Like they add in a lot of R-rated stuff. There's a lot of nudity. I think the reason this really doesn't work is it's not well directed at all. Everyone's tone is very weird, but I think it's they're trying to do both. They're trying to do a watered down blaxploitation film. So they needed to pick a lane. Either really R-ify, like go ahead and make a blaxploitation Friday Foster, or a straight Friday Foster where there isn't nudity.
All right, are you guys ready for my hot take?
Hot take.
Uh-oh.
No, first hot take.
Yeah.
This is probably my favorite Pam Grier film from that time.
Well,
wow.
No, I was about to say.
I love it more than definitely the Women in Prison, but even
more than
Coffee,
those, yeah.
And also
Foxy Brown.
Foxy Brown.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay, I think I know why.
It feels like by this movie that she was the most unself-conscious, the most relaxed. She finally had gotten some chops going, and it's just fun to watch her. It's obvious that she is very well cast in this Brenda Starr character because
really well cast.
Like the Brenda Starr TV movie, which is basically all this is except with nudity. She's there for all of it. Mm-hmm. Really great.
What I think that the only thing that works in this, besides, I mean,
most of the cast actually, I think is good.
I was going to say the biggest sin of the movie is that you have this amazing cast, and this is the movie we put them in. Because you're going, oh my god, every single scene you're like, what? And then no, this doesn't work. Yeah. But the best thing about this movie is exactly what you were saying. She is free. Now, we all love her as a badass, and that's where she came up as a badass. But this movie, she becomes light. She becomes she's a fetching, winning. You're like, wow, like you're saying, she's relaxed. She's charming as hell. And she's able to, in some scenes, especially with Yafet Cotto, where I think there is that kind of like
they're great together. Their scenes together.
Feel right there.
Yes, where they're just bantering back and forth, and she's like, she's giving them the looks. She has a couple of reaction shots in this movie during like action scenes or something where I'm like going, oh my god, I just love some of her reaction shots. Like, oh, and I'm like, oh, damn, awesome. And that was good podcasting, by the way, where I did it.
Anyway. But long-time viewers will notice that you've been working on your acting to where you're not as self-conscious anymore.
That's exactly
either,
it. No, so
and
I
also
agree.
my right-on glasses and my
I know.
groovy Columbo murderer.
That's
sweatshirt.
Very good.
I'm
the street.
right there with you guys. I watched it. I think this might be the most I've enjoyed a movie so far in this series. Actually,
Yeah, it's my favorite of everything
it's
we've watched.
pretty fun.
Really
It's not. I'm not gonna say it's great, but number one, I do love blaxploitation cinema.
Yeah.
Pam Grier is great.
Yeah.
I think a big thing, certainly.
Oh, that was a hot take.
I know, yeah, but I'm saying but something this movie does have. We talk about is a great supporting cast around her, which is not always the case in a lot of those other ones. It is often her single-handedly carrying a movie to the finish line, right?
And usual blaxploitation is very angry, and it feels like everybody's yelling.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Yes,
like I remember. I think it's Alan Arbus who plays the bad guy in one of the Pam Grier movies.
Mm-hmm.
And he later goes on to be the psychiatrist on MASH. But Diane Arbus's ex-husband.
Gasp.
Huh? Wow. So, but Alan Arbus, like, just screaming the N-bomb.
Yeah.
You know, in the movie and stuff. And everything's just played in this sort of heightened.
It is Coffee. He's the villain in Coffee.
Well, here
it's just everything pops.
It's really, it is fun.
It's also
I would argue about how well realized this is.
Right.
I would say it's as good as an adventure TV movie that you would see on
very
ABC.
much so. And it actually does feel that way until suddenly there's blood and nudity.
You kind of feel the commercial breaks too.
You kind of do.
Well, that was something
that pacing is a big problem here because it is both leisurely and awkwardly paced, where even you're going, why didn't they edit someone's line better to where you can almost see like the moment before they go, and now my line. I'm like, no, you could cut this to where it flows better. But
they as much as I love Jim Backus, guys, and I love Jim Backus.
Well, how could you not?
I do. I do.
I know.
I think Jim Backus as the Noah Cross of the piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you see him for us scene. Come on.
Talk about another just waste of
a... They didn't need the scene.
No.
They could just refer to some white dude. I mean, I kept thinking of, have you guys seen 3 the Hard Way?
Oh, of course.
Yes. All right, so you know the bad guy in that, the big bad is this white guy played by Jay Robinson, Dr. Shrinker from the Dr. Shrinker show.
Yes.
It needed a Jay Robinson, not a Jim Backus.
But
Jay Robinson would have taken those
even
3 lines and they would have sung and the thing would have just popped.
It's all right. I'm still going to take my Jim Backus.
I mean, I am once again always happy to see the man.
I feel like I was watching the beginning of the end for Jim Backus. It's like when you watch him in that Kolchak episode. Chopper,
well, he's clearly in a chair and not getting out of that chair for this.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the same thing where in Chopper they let him improvise, and he's clearly not up for it anymore. And it was just a lot of. I felt sad for Jim Backus.
Let it go.
He does live. He does live for. We should say he does live for another 15 years after this, though. So
well, good for him.
I mean, but I also had that thought. I had to look.
Reunion movies. He's barely talking.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, now that you've really brought us down, I do want to list
again. Oh boy.
I just want to say that again. This movie, this cast. We should have had something better, but I will say I'm listing them.
Yeah.
We got Pam at the top.
Yep.
Great.
And by the way, I'm gonna say this too. I know that hair is hair, and she always looks amazing.
Hair is hair.
But,
it's a great statement.
Well, no, it's because for most of her blaxploitation
that's the mark
career,
of the classic illustrator my brother is.
Yeah, she has a natural fro for most of her blaxploitation.
Yeah.
I will say this straightened hair, which fits the comic strip version.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, she just looks beautiful in this movie. She looks beautiful. Anyway, moving on.
With her white lady hair.
Oh, that's what I'm getting at, man.
Once again, as opposed to the garbage she looks like in most movies. Yeah.
No, she's always beautiful, always beautiful. But here in this movie, like Robin pointed out, here she gets to smile. Okay.
Well, that's it exactly. It's not just the hair as well. It is. There's a glamour to this character that she isn't often. Even though she's in the ghetto, quote unquote, she is definitely a higher society, a higher class character,
right?
Along the lines of the James Bond thing, I prefer this to Cleopatra Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it's
well,
the
comic strip also bumps up against high fashion, which actually works better in the comic strip. In this movie, they put
kind of just jammed in.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, backing her up.
Madame Rena was not that good of a designer, guys.
No. All right. So Pam Grier. Yafet Cotto.
Oh, by the way,
the last film performance by Godfrey Cambridge. The great Godfrey Cambridge.
The great Godfrey Cambridge.
You get Thomas Rasulala.
Thomas Rasulala. Yeah.
Rasulala, and I've always loved that guy.
Yep.
And Brendan, do you remember?
I'm gonna finish, Rob.
No. Listen to me. Thomas Rasulala was the actor that Richard Pryor insisted on being on Saturday Night Live to play the elder priest in the Exorcist sketch, where Lorraine Newman is and all of a sudden this black actor playing the elder priest, the Max von Sydow part.
Yes.
That was one of Pryor's writers in his contract is you have to because you only have Garrett Morris, you don't have any other black performers in this, so bring this guy in too.
Good call.
And he's fine.
Yeah.
But that pissed Lorne Michaels off more than anything.
Oh, luckily,
I'm finishing the list.
All right, go ahead.
Eartha Kitt.
Yep.
Yes.
Catwoman's in it.
Scatman Crothers.
Yep.
Yes.
He's in there too.
Ted Lang.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Lang. Fancy.
You got Paul Benjamin, who I'm not finished.
No, but hear me on this. Let me ask you this. Was that Godfrey Cambridge's brother playing the lead detective who always wants a beer and is always eating chips?
Yes.
Ed Cambridge.
Yes.
Ed Cambridge.
Yep.
Paul Benjamin, who I always liked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah. Jason Bernard, who I always liked.
No, I've been waiting for you to say that one.
And finally, not finally, there's great
this
people.
Is probably one of Jason Bernard's first.
You're going to get to the person who I forgot was in
Weathers.
this. I did not remember. And man,
he's doing Rocky the very next year. He may actually be leaving this set to go.
He does. Rocky. He is firmly. He looks like Apollo Creed in this movie, right? Like you can see, he's got the build. He's got the hair.
When he and Yafet Cotto fight, it's like
Godzilla versus Apollo Creed.
Incredible.
Yes, it's a battle of titans. Yeah,
it's great.
That's
so. I just wanted to go down that list because again, these are all great character actors, and sadly, when they have scenes, and it's not bad, but I mean, it's usually 1-to-1. And you're like, oh, I want to see all these.
But they are, But the big thing. This is a movie that's really buoyed by this cast because the movie is, as we're saying, not amazing,
not great,
but it's a script, but with all these great people that it's a very fun watch. It's also like a breezy 90 minutes, right, or whatever. I found this I know this is like faint praise, but truly, I was watching this last night going, this just goes down smooth.
Is refreshing.
It is it is breezy. It is fun.
Yeah.
It's got
the two people who said, "Can I go for it?" And they said, "Yeah." Godfrey Cambridge,
of course,
delivers. I mean, yes, is he doing sort of a gay caricature?
100% over the top. Yes,
100% over the top. And Eartha Kitt, man, I'm not exactly sure where she beamed in from for this performance.
Her cabaret act is where she beamed in from.
I was going to say
she's moved her hands around.
Oh,
yes.
And when she comes out, she starts noticing people in the audience.
Yes. Oh, you darling.
Is she about to sing C'est si bon? Is she about to sing C'est si bon?
It would not have felt weird if she did. I will say it would have fit.
It would have been great.
Can I give you guys just to get in on the fun of this? I read the tagline at the end of last episode that I do love, which of course you remind people was
Wham Bam.
Wham Bam, here comes Pam.
Here comes Pam.
But there's some other great taglines for this movie because this was
right.
a great era. This era of particularly blaxploitation movies had some of the best taglines in film history.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have she's a fascinating, assassinating, high-living, fun-loving chick.
Assassinating isn't really true.
She witnesses an assassination.
But Brendan, it rhymes.
Yeah.
See, Brendan, if you're from the streets, you would understand that, but you're too busy in your library with your books, man.
Yeah.
I like here's one. This is an after title tagline. So it's Friday Foster, and the gang she's keeping is mighty heavy. And then these last two really play on her name being Friday. So you've got to love.
Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. She's out to score for more of what you love her for.
Oh wow!
I need to really parse that one.
But
give me a few minutes.
Don't parse it. Let it ride.
We'll end with what this is my favorite because her name is Friday, but you can dig her any day of the week.
You know what? Yeah,
Truth.
no,
That's
I'll
a
give
truth
that one.
bomb right there, my friend.
No,
Any day of the week.
I think the thing about this feeling like and then I did see that there was a brief talk about them possibly wanting to spin this off into a TV show. I would have watched that show. I will say this does feel like if you take out the completely unnecessary couple nudity moments and some the Carl Weathers' death is ridiculous. How many times he gets shot and it's so bloody. But if you eliminate those,
Cotto was pissed, man.
I love it.
You don't mess with Colt Hawkins.
Even I'm watching it last night going, I think he's dead. I think he's dead, Yafet. I think you got him. He pumped a whole magazine into him.
You know why? Because Apollo dared to wield a stick at him. A giant.
Yeah, it does feel like I'm not sure I'm not sure that's warranted force there.
They made sure to throw in the insert of his German machine pistol being knocked out of his hand.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't have a gun.
So
Cotto to just keep.
This is something I love in a lot of lower budget like 70s action movies. You can tell what was lying around and clearly like
in the prop house.
Yeah, in the prop house because they always have what are these Mausers because they're all probably from World War II or war pictures lying around. And so you're always why are these guys in Harlem?
Well, I think the logic that would be used here is that they wanted weird, untraceable guns.
Yeah.
And I think it was supposed to be a much smoother assassination attempt than what... I mean, they're like,
it's pretty bad.
Well, we can see these guys in their security guard uniforms, and we know exactly who's doing it. Oops. Because I think it should have been more like they could have blended into the crowd after they shot the guy and ditched these antiquated guns. But it doesn't matter. It's and
it fits in this. Also, by the way, the Mauser is the sidearm that the Rocketeer carries in the comics.
Yes, I know. Just because, again, a great Dave Stevens, it looks cool.
It's a cool looking. It's a cool looking gun, and of course, people who know movie props and weapons know it's also the base for Han Solo's pistol in Star Wars is a modified Mauser.
One thing I'll say
broom
about
handle
it is, it's awesome that the Rocketeer uses a German gun to take down Nazis.
Hey man, I'm right there with you.
This is a movie, by the way, that ends. I mean, because I know that we don't go through the full plot of these things, but I love that this movie ends with the leaders of the black community and black politicians taking down dudes in blackface. That's pretty awesome. Where you've got literally white assassins.
The senator's the one that shoots a white guy in blackface. I was like, that must have been an applause break right there.
A theater went up.
And shoe polish.
That scene when they're lining up all the henchmen and they're putting the afro wig and then very sloppily painting the black right?
Oh man, they're not
there you go. That's enough.
Jason Bernard looking at him and solemnly nodding like it's an episode of Dragnet.
There's a couple of actual, actual black guys in that group, but most because as the senator will say, some N-words will do anything for money.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Apollo Creed did.
Yeah, that's right.
Son
but
of
most
a
of them are
bitch.
these white mercenary dudes with shoe polish, and it's just, I just imagine, how was that for Bernard to be like on set that day going like, all right. And he's looking at these guys like,
his mark of what a class act he was, that he just yes-anded that shit, because Brendan, do you remember that he was like the kind of gray ghost shadow character on the original Flash TV show?
Yes, actually I do.
Yeah, okay, all right. So and he's the one that breaks in on television transmissions and stuff.
Yes.
I love Jason.
Great.
So
I don't think any of us
didn't realize I missed that in the opening credits, and I was just like, "Oh my god, it's the dude from the Flash!"
Yeah, it's interesting to see him like at this point in his career, because he becomes. I mean, even here he is like not business guy, but he is that intellectual type guy. He's kind of a nerd, and what I like is. He's in a blaxploitation.
I wrote down that he was playing the William Daniels of the piece.
He's kind of the William Daniels, but as
the
this
weasel suit.
The weasel suit is exactly what he.
But Brendan, are you going to get to kind of when I was growing up on TV? He was like always like a judge, or a general or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a face where even if you're not aware, you see him, you'll go, oh.
Well, and once again, I pull out my '90s kid card here. He's the judge in Jim Carrey's Liar Liar.
Extreme.
One of my favorites as a kid, and he's great in that because there's no humor in his performance. He is acting like a real judge to Jim Carrey's antics, and he's always just like, "Yes, counselor."
I remember. I mean, he's
very funny in that.
Military type things too.
Yeah.
Or like he in Blue Thunder?
He sure was.
With the Scheider. Yeah.
I love Blue Thunder. What a ridiculous movie.
Again, this movie is packed with really awesome people that you, as I've said before, it's like you keep going like, oh, better.
Yeah.
I wish there was better.
I'll just mention, War Games. He's also one of the military guys in War Games.
Oh, yes,
which makes a lot of sense. And he's also one of the evil judges in the Star Chamber with Michael Douglas. So
Star Chamber.
Yeah,
I never watched that.
Star Chamber.
Chamber.
I love the Star Chamber, man.
Deep cut, buddy.
Love the Star Chamber. Hey, man, 80s, 90s political thrillers. 80s, 90s political thrillers are my jam.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, Hal Holbrook.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
it's good,
so
good movie. But yeah, great. Now, who's at the helm of this thing, though? We got to talk about Arthur Marx, Ghetto Marx. I mean, Ghetto Marx, The thing I always loved watching, because I here's the thing, I can't remember if I saw Friday Foster before this, because I watched anything from MGM Soul Cinema, when they did their line of tapes and discs of blaxploitation movies. They called it Soul Cinema. But
that was a branding thing.
That was the branding thing. They would have
their Midnight Madness collection.
It was in the same. It was the same sort of vein where it had it would be an MGM box, but it would have a thing on the Soul Cinema. So I saw a lot of these. But like all of these guys, as I look at Arthur Marx here, I would pull up those special features, and it was always just the whitest old dudes going,
"Oh yeah,
when I was making Hell Comes to Harlem."
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like Jack Hill. Jack Hill was talking about. I remember talking about how Foxy Brown was originally supposed to be a Coffee sequel, and they literally changed it the last minute.
Yeah,
because originally they had the marketing. As usual, AIP had the marketing before they had the movie.
Yeah.
And so it was going to be, the sequel's going to be called Burn, Coffee, Burn.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Looking at this guy did a lot.
Jack Hill is like the whitest dude.
A
long way from Spider Baby.
Looking at this guy also made some of my favorites of the Detroit 9000. Anybody remember that one? with Alex Rocco.
Yeah, with Alec Rocco. That also showed at the theater. I worked at.
Bucktown
because Tarantino re-released
that's where I saw
restored,
Detroit 9000 is on. That was another thing I watched. Anything was Rolling Thunder. Yeah, watched all of those. But he also did Bucktown with Pam and Fred Williamson. And then just after this, he does JD's Revenge.
JD's Revenge.
Oh,
yeah, that's one I like.
Glenn Turman, Louis Gossett Jr. Yeah. So this guy, in addition to also doing like Starsky and Hutch and Dukes of Hazzard, he was a TV guy who would, and then he did some Mannix, but then would come and direct these. These were the features he did, and then he would do like cop shows, But that makes sense when you're talking about the look of this movie. It does feel like a guy who could shoot a decent Starsky and Hutch,
Over and over, I just kept going. This is so much like a TV movie, except with nudity.
Yeah, to its detriment, unfortunately.
Well, but also in its slight positive. Too, I do think kind of the zippiness of it. I do think there is a certain.
Yeah. I mean, zippy as in it does move fairly quickly. We don't get bogged down. But
it's an even 90 minutes.
It's awkwardly edited. I wasn't a fan of that.
I agree with both of you. I think scene to scene.
I think they're both true. It's right.
Well, it's both true. Is scene to scene it moves.
Yes.
But within each scene, there are odd choices.
Yeah. Yes.
And it kind of feels like they went with the first take and had to move on. Well, luckily, everybody was up for the first take for the most part.
For the most part,
yeah. I kept like going. I think this guy trying to run Pam Grier over is the gay person from the earlier gay club scenes, but also they would not bother to try to hide that there was no way on God's green earth that they were in Washington D.C. for some of those shots. It looked
when
like they had gone back through a portal to Los Angeles.
Yeah, and also when
California Steakhouse,
when they literally
2 doors down from the nightclub.
Yes, and when they say it is Valentine's Day, and you're like going, well, that is the warmest, sunniest Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
They never leave Southern California.
February in D.C. No, they never.
And they don't do much to hide it.
Now, John, they did do some exteriors in D.C. That is kind of obvious, but
when you see the shot of the Capitol building,
one day's worth of exteriors does not. Yeah. No.
And they're so clearly like the way they're inserted. If anything, it draws more attention to it because you're on clearly like an LA street, and then it cuts to the Capitol building. You're like, no, these are not the same location by any stretch of the imagination.
LA passing for Harlem too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, guys, I'm sorry, that's not it.
Well, I think that,
and then the rooftops.
Yeah.
Of those apartment building rooftops could only be in Los Angeles with those little penthouse suites on top of the roof. When Apollo breaks into Friday's apartment, he's breaking into just one like structure on top of the roof, but all of a sudden it has a hallway that has other apartments.
By the way, if you folks have been dying to see Carl Weathers in the most 70s blazer committed to film, good God.
That's why he was able to run from rooftop to rooftop, John, is because the collar was actually aerodynamic. It's like a flying nun situation. Yeah. Is that kind of Sister Betrayal?
Yeah, it was very definitely a flying nun.
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
flying nun.
He did.
It's pretty great to see young Carl Weathers. Again, right before or consecutively as he's doing Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
But just to know where this guy's career is going to go, you're like, oh, I'm glad. Because here he has a couple lines of dialogue. He does the smooth getting in past her younger brother thing of like, I'm delivering something. But he really doesn't have a lot to do. Right. And you're like, well, physically, the dude's still this... He's a monster.
Well, I will say the fight, I believe, because they're both giant men, but I will say the chase is a little bit like... Yafet never felt built for speed to me,
No.
And I love Yafet, but that's
Carl Weathers.
He's
Carl
a
Weathers
tank.
is a good. He runs really well because he was not a boxer. He was a former football player.
Right.
But the thing kept like yelling out every time they cut to them running and jumping over the same two roofs because they never really left the roof with the black door that has all the graffiti on it.
Yeah.
It's what they end up coming back to every time. But every time they cut to them jumping over that, it was clearly a taller guy than Cotto and a thinner guy than Weathers.
Yeah.
And it's
oh God, it's awful. It's some great 70s stunt doubling.
Yeah.
Man.
But anyway, it's like when Pam gets thrown at one point. It's clearly a dude.
Yeah.
You know, into like boxes or
this is also, before you're worried about AIP giving us, quality.
Well, I was gonna say that all of this is summed up in this being an AIP picture.
There's also a nice boom shadow scene. Anyway, But this is a movie that has
in the streets they call that a heavy boom shadow.
Yes, that's right. I'm being followed by a boom shadow. Anyway, so the thing is, we have a movie here where we have a police detective who keeps saying he needs a beer, wants a beer.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we have a movie in which Friday Foster will grab any vehicle that's around. That's a running gag. She drives the hearse first. Second time she's in the milk truck. And I love when she shows up and she goes, "I'm delivering the milk," and smashes a milk bottle over a guy's head. These
also
little things do feel like the comic strip, and then you'll get some, you'll get a lot of squibs, and then suddenly random nudity, not just main character nudity, but like random nudity.
Random nudity.
All the stuff with the models backstage. I'm like, why? And sometimes you're cutting. It's like this. You're just gonna cut away to it and then cut to another scene. You're just like, wait, none of our characters were even backstage at that fashion show.
Daddy's Blondie. She takes showers. What? I mean,
I will say.
To do a comic strip adaptation, say, you know what? We need to R this thing.
Oh, but that's AIP, and they got Pam Grier, right?
They got Pam.
But I will say that shower scene was because
we hadn't done enough nudity.
I know it is. That is sort of the thing. But
have you guys heard the TCM podcast, The Plot Thickens, where they interviewed her a whole season on Pam Grier?
Great.
It's really great. The way she talks about like what she was asked to do all the time. Yeah. She was like, I didn't really have a problem with the nudity so much. It's just after a while I would just go, why is this in here? I don't. I'll do it, but why is it really in here?
Sure, I guess people do take showers in prison.
Not an idiot by any stretch of the imagination. No. She's incredibly smart.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And she just was like, nudity's fine. And thank God I had the body to pull it off.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's another thing. If you look like Pam Grier, I'm not, different people, but like,
it's just that even she truly did have like a sense of story and artistic integrity.
And this would be one of those movies where firmly none of it is needed at all.
Yeah.
She has one of those great old Hollywood type stories, even though she ended up in cult low grade movie stuff.
Yeah.
But still, it's one of those. I was working in the office, and someone was like going, "Why aren't you in?" Well, I'm filing papers. It's like, nope, we're putting you in front of the camera.
I mean,
boom.
I see it because I mean, just that face, man. That face is made for the screen.
Dude, we love her. We love
her like we love a lot of people across all the podcasts we do. She was much better than the material she was given all the time.
Much better than
Brings
the
100% full Pam.
Yeah. The thing though, and of course that is the Jackie Brown thing, is then finally somebody was like, what if we gave you something really good? And she just knocks it out of the park. Because it's like, I've been waiting for this.
Because
she never stopped working, but it is that thing where her profile had just diminished, and only this one guy whose whole thing is resurrecting genre and style that he absolutely obsessed over.
That's it, because it's just in his bones. Yeah,
people from obscurity, and you're like, Mr. Forrester, thank you for bringing him into a better realm.
Well, because that's the thing I like about
that part.
That's the thing I like about Tarantino.
My favorite scene in Jackie Brown is just the two of them sitting across
it's the best.
Yes. It's
that.
Like possibly the finest thing Tarantino's ever done.
The moment, I mean, one of the best moments he does, and Tarantino's so known for his dialogue, but in terms of just visual
storytelling and just the acting is that scene when he gets her out of prison when he first sees her. Yeah, and it's all on Forrester's face, and it's just and that's the thing I love about Tarantino, right? Is it's not a gimmick with him, right? I don't think it's like let me resurrect. It really is just him going. Why wouldn't you make a movie with Pam Grier and Robert Forster? They're great,
right, yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. Who wouldn't cast them? Also, Pam Grier was Amanda Waller on Smallville, which was a great choice.
I think I only saw an episode of her as Amanda Waller.
Perfect choice.
Because I was giving up on Smallville.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I always have to.
Well,
I love me some Smallville.
Of course you do, but Brendan, you still watched the episode with Zatanna in it, right?
No, I didn't see Zatanna, but I did. I did
mistake?
see the
Oh
episode.
my God!
I know, and it's the lady
Serena
from
Swan is Zatanna.
Yeah.
Such a great, such a great choice.
I tuned in when they had the JSA, and I tuned in when they had the quasi team up of a Justice League with I watched
Proto Justice League.
Yeah.
I watched every episode.
Man.
Zatanna was great.
And that was really great casting. Serena Swan.
They don't have it on 4K, Brandon, but I do have the Blu-ray box set of Smallville. Yes. Okay. They haven't put out a 4K.
Somebody save John.
Well, I do. As you know, and for a podcast that I have no involvement with, but I will shout out. I do love Talkville, the rewatch podcast that Tom Welly and Michael Rosenbaum are doing right now.
Yeah,
is very fun.
And I watched the Inside of You where he interviewed Nicholas Hoult because I was like, I gotta see
the meeting of the Lexes. Yeah, great.
Yeah, the Lex meeting was pretty good.
Yeah, I just need to jump to next year because I need to see that movie.
But I will say, Pam Grier. Yeah, Pam Grier once again has never at any point stopped working. Continues to work all the time. In fact, just last season on IP Squad, we talked about her in Pet Sematary.
Last season on IP Squad,
She's in Pet Sematary Bloodlines, the Pet Sematary prequel. So we just did that for our Stephen King.
I want her to always be appreciated. I want her to always be working because we love Pam Grier. Yay.
Yeah.
I was not the target audience for L Word, but I was always happy. It's like, great.
That was another thing where she got
solid paycheck, and I think they probably give her good material.
No, I think she got good reviews for that. I mean, that's the thing. It's good. I definitely, and especially like with a lot of people, as she's gotten older, the parts have gotten more interesting that they're giving her because they're no longer. She's still a gorgeous woman, in what her got to be in her 70s, but that's no longer the selling point of her.
Now, the Barbara Stanwyck of blaxploitation.
No question. You'll get no pushback from me on that. Yeah, that is a great description.
I mean, especially with the range and the attitudes.
Yeah.
Because Stanwyck, the whole thing could be the biggest badass. Could be funny.
Yeah.
She could do anything.
Oh my God, Brendan, have you seen?
Yeah.
Did I tell you about this? I finally saw 40 Guns.
40 Guns is great.
I've been talking up 40 Guns.
40 Guns is great. I am right there with him on 40 Guns.
50s being dragged on a horse, and you can see it because Sam Fuller has that camera right on her. Oh my God!
I will check it out.
You should see. It is really good. It is really good.
It is one of the best.
I have a lot to watch, Robin.
There's too much to watch. Is exactly right. But no, I was gonna say as the sex appeal is no longer the selling factor. That's actually made people go like, shit, she's actually really good.
Well,
no,
that's
I'm saying in every like on the Big Valley, everything that she has an opening credit for should be and Miss Pam Grier as.
Yep.
Yes.
Because that's how classy and
when
awesome
you become an icon, you deserve that kind of treatment because people should be grateful that you're still around and that we get to experience that because it's like you mentioned it is sad there are plenty of people that fall by the wayside and they were fine for their time or they had their moment but there are some people that shouldn't fall by the wayside and you're always grateful when they don't. So it's like, I'm sure she had plenty of co-stars that we enjoy that were names of the 70s or whatever.
I don't remember who was White Mama and Black Mama, White Mama.
Yeah, nobody remembers the White Mama.
Yeah.
No one remembers the White Mama. I thought I was going to be able to go, oh, no, I do. And then I was like,
I just looked her up, and her name is Margaret Markov.
Okay. No.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Even looking it up, it doesn't sound familiar, and I've seen that movie.
Oh. Yeah.
I was trying to remember the name of the woman who literally talked to me at the Pam Grier night at the New Art, and I cannot. And I know she was big in drive-in movies at that time, and I want to say Rainbow Smith, but I don't think it was Rainbow Smith. I think Rainbow Smith.
If it was Rainbow Smith, that's gonna make me. I mean, she is a cult figure. Yeah, she did. I think.
Yeah. Anyway, Pam Grier, amazing.
Pam Grier is amazing. I do want
to. I don't know when this episode goes out, but the Oscars just happened, and I was watching Michael Keaton do that Batman bit.
Oh, when he
does what? That Schwarzenegger DeVito thing would have died on the at the start if they had
he not played along. Yeah.
With a freaking ascot that was his idea.
I saw that. I saw that him talking about that where he was like, he put the ascot on just for that cutaway because he's like, I had to be Bruce Wayne.
Anything with him in it, I will watch this movie he directed.
I'm very excited to see this movie. Yeah.
Michael Keaton is another one of those guys that
you thought
came back.
Yes.
And
also in Jackie Brown. Brown.
Incredible Jackie Brown.
He's so good in Jackie
course,
Brown.
Then he's in Out of Sight because Soderbergh thought it would be a great idea.
The whole thing with the Elmore Leonard verse kind of stuff is we're just sitting there going like, okay, Justified keeps coming around.
When is Ray Nicolette going to show up on Justified?
When is Ray Nicolette going to show up? When can we get Carla Gugino back as a Karen
That's
Sisco
all we've been yelling about over on Meet the Monsters is when are they going to bring Carla Gugino in as Karen Sisco?
Because again, and Carla Gugino is one of those people who it's like, okay, once people
did you guys see the Poe?
Yes.
Oh, of course. Jesus Christ, it's amazing.
But I'll just say, once the world has gotten past,
we didn't deserve that show. It was so good.
Yeah.
How unbelievably attractive she is.
Yeah.
People will realize
kind of similar
how amazing an actor she is.
Actually, she's kind of similar to Pam Grier in that way.
She's very much so.
Another Barbara Stanwyck where she'll be in her 70s. We're just like, oh my god. Or Jamie Lee Curtis is another obvious.
She's firmly in that phase now.
Thank God we're still.
Thank God there's another renaissance of her acting.
Well, let's talk about somebody who's in this movie that didn't ever didn't get a renaissance and sadly passed. Yeah. Well, Scatman Crothers.
After Hong Kong Phooey, once you've been to the mountaintop.
No, I want to talk about Yafet. We mentioned Yafet. By the way, second Bond villain to be in
sponsored by Casper mattresses.
Second Bond villain we've had in one of these movies this season because we also had our friend over in Danger Diabolique. But Kananga, man, Kananga, aka Mr. Big. I
love it.
Fully no one in that movie.
I was surprised when that mask came off.
I was like,
didn't know
what?
I was like, what?
I will say that is one of my favorite. I love that mask pull off in Live and Let Die because he doesn't do it clean like a Mission Impossible. There's kind of like a hold on, I got it.
It's gross to pull it off. Like it's like he's tearing at his own skin.
Yeah.
It's almost like a zombie move. It's great.
But I love seeing Yafet in this movie because you so rarely see him in a leading man role like this, right? Where it's like he's like he's a guy who just always did solid work, but of course people think of either as Kananga or as one of the crew members in Alien. Or,
or FBI agent in Midnight Run,
which he's great in. He's so great in that. Of course, I was a huge.
Life on the Street.
I was just about to bring up. He was Lieutenant Giordaro on Homicide: Life on the Street, one of my favorite shows.
And I know.
And Cotto would keep inserting all those. Listen. Capiche? Like he would throw in like these Italian.
Because he's like he locked onto Giardello is my character's name, so boom, I'm Italian.
The thing I in this movie picked up on is they, like I said, they shoved her main like co-star from the comic strip. He's not really there. They give him a little bit of like, okay.
Yeah.
But in this movie, because the comic strip did run for 4 years, Colt Hawkins was a recurring side character, and I think they had a little fling, but mainly it was they were buddies. And so it's great that they step him up, and it's great that Yafet Cotto gets to play. This is very much like Modesty Blaze in this movie because You've got your lead strong female, but she's got this awesome sidekick character.
100%.
And that's, in this case, that's what he is. He's the Willie Garvin to her Modesty Blaze. So I do love that. And they're dynamic as actors,
or the Noel
but also
Harrison
as characters.
to the girl from Uncle.
Yes. And wow.
People have been dying for a Girl from Uncle reference on here. That's what people are looking for.
Yeah. I'll sing Windmills of Your Mind next.
All right, Stephanie Powers. Wow. But anyway, so that's I like that dynamic, and I really loved seeing them together.
They are great together.
She seems the most relaxed.
Their chemistry is fantastic.
Slightly improving a little bit, or at least she is ready for him to throw something extra in and give him a look or something. I was like, you're not just worried about getting to the next line. You're having fun with that guy because those characters love each other. And you're like,
now, John, you're a Criterion Channel subscriber.
Oh yes,
right?
Oh proudly so. Yes.
Do you remember a few months ago they had the Cotto tribute? And I missed, but I'm still going to try to see the insane movie he made with Joyce Van Patten, of all people.
I still have not seen that either.
What is this?
It's got like a one-word title.
It's
like, brutal,
I can't. It's Rage, right?
Rage, yeah.
Yeah.
Rage and it's basically down and out in Beverly Hills if it were a severe, erotic, dangerous, political movie.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I'm ready for this film.
So and instead of Nick Nolte, it's Yafet Cotto. So Joyce Van Patten's the Bette Midler. It is.
It's got some other great people in it too, man.
Amazing.
Yeah. The great Vic Tayback is in it.
Vic Tayback.
It's a Vic Tayback.
Yeah. But no, I just it was so good to see this because once again. Also, do you guys know Yafet Cotto was like a big UFO conspiracy theorist in real life? So he was kind of a kooky dude, yeah.
Oh no! I would have loved to have chatted UFOs.
Oh God, yeah, he was big on like I've seen things.
I want to have that conversation with Yafet
I know,
Cotto.
Gone too soon, man. I mean, I know he was well, okay. I mean, he was 81, but still gone. Well, I say Gone Too Soon, and I'm surprised he won because he was always one of those guys who was kind of implaceable in age. He seems like he's 45 in this movie, like
Well, this was only a few years after Across 110th Street, which he's so amazing.
One of the, I mean, that was considered in the Soul Cinema collection, but certainly
the classic,
better than Blaxploitation. It's a great movie.
Well, I'd say Across 110th
it's incredible.
Street and
Him and Anthony Quinn and Tony Franciosa
and Across 110th Street are the actual movie,
right? They're kind of the forebearers of Blaxploitation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
again, Across 110th Street was supposed to be more like a very dramatic, hard-hitting
French Connection kind of movie, right? Yeah.
Mayor Lindsay's New York and how horrible it has gotten.
Great movie. Great movie.
But you watch that.
Yeah.
And you see this weird political buddy cop film with Quinn and Cotto.
They're amazing, both amazing in it. Yeah.
I mean, it was made. Obviously, it was made a little bit on the tails of In the Heat of the Night, but God bless, it is good.
Once again, that's why I'm saying like Cotto's one of those guys, and I always kind of talk about these guys who are like never wanted for work, certainly wasn't like undervalued, but still was underappreciated as far as I'm concerned. Like that guy really had the goods. And like I said, worked a lot, but it was always just like, that guy's great.
Classically trained actor too.
You can feel that even in something like this. He has such command that comes from like that Shakespearean stage training. It's the same thing we talk about with William Marshall in the Blackula movies.
We keep talking about him beating up Apollo Creed and shooting him, but him beating up Jason Bernard and saying you need to go back to school, and he goes 2 + 2 is 4.
Here's the thing. I love that scene, and I love that scene because it seems clear to me that Yafet Cotto in that scene knows how stupid what he is forced to say is, but he's having fun with it.
Yep.
Because
I'm
sorry, none of that makes any sense, and
it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
And 4 + 4 is 8. You're like, yeah, what does that have to? Okay, man.
I was like, is he gonna say 8 + 8 is 16? No, he says B spot run.
Yeah.
Well, that is something similar to. It's one of the reasons I do love him on Homicide, like you were talking about.
It is.
He does always kind of
bring the milk. You're like, well, what? Who wrote this?
But the thing about Cotto, and Pam Grier has this too, but Cotto always brought a little twinkle to everything. He for being a big, imposing guy with such authority, you got the sense like that guy's having fun though too. There's a sense of humor to him.
The way that he kind of fucks with De Niro at the end. When he has sort of the upper hand, or at least they kind of understand each other better. There's that twinkle again.
John, it's good that you decided to do a little focus on Yafet.
I just love the guy. Yafet, I love Yafet. And also, too. Midnight Run is a classic. I just more people need to talk about how amazing Midnight Run is.
I kept thinking though, maybe they cut the scene where Jason Bernard said to Yafet Cotto, "I'm an educated man," and da 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 to set up the you need to go back to school.
Yeah. No, you can feel the movie trying to justify some of these things, and then like
right. But
and we should say again, Godfrey Cambridge came to play.
Yes. You sure did.
I love him. I can't believe 43, man.
I know. Talk about way too young. Way too young.
And that guy, fearless. I mean, Watermelon Man.
Watermelon Man.
The President's Analyst.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Coburn.
Cambridge and the President's Analyst.
Yeah. Great movie.
Again,
Cotton Comes to Harlem.
Gallery that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That episode of Night Gallery. Cotton Comes to Harlem. Jesus.
Love Cotton Comes to Harlem.
Come back, Charleston Blue.
I mean, this guy was great, and he's great in this, and he's in the movie for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
And he's great.
One of the best deaths, though. I got a freaking garbage truck whenever going into a
Paul
phone
Benjamin,
booth.
the guy that's in. He's the editor.
What? What do you? What?
Which one is Paul Benjamin in the movie?
Oh, he's the senator. He's the senator.
Oh, he's the senator. The guy plays
also
the
from
editor.
across 110th Street.
Yeah. I would swear. Yes, he is from across 100. That's where I recognize him from. But the guy who plays the editor, I would swear, also plays Tee in Live and Let Die.
No, I know. I would swear. I would know Tee in a second.
I don't want you guys fighting about this.
Who is the editor? I can't remember what that character's name is.
The bald editor who.
Yeah, but you got to know his name.
Perry White.
Yeah, I'm trying to see who he is.
Is it Monk Riley?
Monk Riley. Is that the characters? Oh yeah, wait. Julius Harris. Oh wait. Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. No, yeah. Sorry, you're right. Tee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
All right.
Hey, John, that's why you've got the Serpico.
Right? That's right, the Serpico. Yeah, all right. I can't believe. So Kananga and one of his henchmen are in this movie. That's incredible.
Yeah. That must have been
and Hong Kong Phooey.
And Hong Kong Phooey.
Apollo Creed.
By the way, this is the 2 seasons in a row with Scatman Crothers, because last season for the Stephen King IP squad, of course, we talked about The Shining. This is becoming a Scatman Crothers podcast.
Well, if you want to see early Scatman dramatic acting, King of Marvin Gardens.
Yes.
Dynamite, Matt.
Yes.
Maybe this
he
should be
shaved his head yet all the way.
That podcast, and we should call it Chatman Crothers.
I will say, actually, we're picking. I don't think. I know Scatman will not be in next season, but I haven't said what next season is. But we will get Yafet because next season, and Carl Weathers, because next season we're doing Alien and Predators. Alien and Predator movies. This will be the next season of the IP squad. So we'll get both Yafet. There'll be more Yafet and more Carl Weathers.
All right. Well, I'll also shout out because I'm getting hungry, but I'll also shout out.
We need to finish soon, John. We need to finish.
Yeah.
Fancy Dexter, Ted Lang.
Well, I know you want to talk about.
As you pointed out at the beginning, one of the most interesting portrayals.
Yep.
And weirdly, life-affirming, positive portrayals of a very wonderful pimp who is actively pursuing a woman who is a career woman. She is a photographer who doesn't need to become a sex worker.
And
but he's convinced that if he keeps bringing her nice gifts, and she'll eventually go, you know what?
He's giving her the hard sell. He's saying, look, this could be big for both of us. All right,
guys, you're missing the quality that Fancy has.
Yeah,
that maybe other pimps, even if they do have hearts of gold, do not have.
Yeah,
and guys, that Fancy is heavy.
Oh, he's heavy.
He's
the heaviest.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
And her little brother Cleve is like, all right.
I mean,
but the running gag with Cleve is he's always left alone, and also he has
an amazing side hustle.
His side hustle is he takes all the fancy gifts, and Friday has absolutely no idea that she's getting these gifts.
That is protected by a curtain.
Yeah, that her brother is taking all these fancy gifts and then selling them to people for for I guess candy money. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
maybe to start being fancy himself.
By the way,
fancy.
As we keep talking about these people who sadly died too young, I was very happy to see, at least as we recorded this, Ted Lang's still with us. He's still out there, and he's still tending bar. He's still tending bar right now on a cruise ship, believe it or not.
No. Now, John, now when Brendan and I were living in the Los Angeles area, Ted Lang was known for theater directing and also teaching Shakespeare classes.
Yes, that is a thing. If you look at his Wikipedia and stuff, people know him as Isaac the bartender and all kinds of, but he is a revered scholar and extremely beloved. I love people like that where when we know them from TV, we just have no knowledge. It's like, oh no, that guy's like top of the charts in this highly revered art scene or whatever,
And it's because we may see him as fancy, but he's also heavy.
Yes,
he's heavy.
We may see him as fancy. His most beloved role.
In LA, I had no run-ins with Ted Lang in LA, which is to my shame and sorrow.
Yeah, sure.
But once when I worked at Final Draft on the phone, I helped Lawrence Hilton Jacobs.
What?
So I helped Freddie Boom Boom Washington. That's the only thing you need to know. That's it. I got to help him over.
And imagine if you hadn't helped him.
Helping him, I said, I was a huge Welcome Back Cotter fan as a kid. He goes, oh, well, thank you very much. He has a very good voice. He's like, and because that was the gag, he would do the deep thing.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi there. Hi there.
He was very nice, and he accepted my praise.
That's good. I like the idea that he
sing the entire Welcome Back Cotter theme, or just
I kept going even at the end with the claps and everything, and he was like, "Can we end this now?"
Well, let's just go. Yeah. How do I re-edit a line that I just?
That's.
I'm sorry. How do I get back to the
what I wrote previously?
I need to get back to the.
He keeps, and you just keep going. Your dreams were your ticket out. Yes, I was on Welcome Back, Cotter. Can I talk to
let Stephen Bishop know that you enjoyed
is
that?
Is there anyone else I could talk to there who's maybe not insane?
Is Mr. Final or Miss Draft?
No, we did tease him a lot because we had him on the spot. But how do I get this in a format for sci-fi? Because I'm trying to write this alien thing, and
we're totally off topic. But I'll just, and I'm about to take it further off topic. Is why I say that. One of my favorite, totally random SNL sketches from probably 15 years ago was they did the parody of Welcome Back Cotter, Welcome Back Potter, where Hogwarts has fallen into disrepair, and 40-something Harry Potter, Will Forte, shows up. And the thing I love is they do the theme song, and the only thing I remember about it is we tease him a lot because he teaches wizardry in the ghetto. Welcome back. It's just very silly. I want to turn now to a segment we do called Highs and Lows, because I think this will also get us back onto the movie a little bit too.
Oh, there we go.
But of course, these are.
We got a little heavy, John. We got a little heavy.
I will say though, I've got to say, this is the first time I've run into this. One of them. Now, this may just speak to the movie being somewhat obscure. There are no 1 or 2 star reviews of this movie. The lowest I could find was a 3-star. So do you guys want? We'll start with the low, I guess, on that then.
Yeah.
So this comes to us from Plankton Rules, is the IMDb user, and the review is titled "Weak. Seriously, you guys." All right.
What?
Weak. Seriously, you guys.
Yeah. Hey, man, I don't
saying that it's strong.
Yeah. Just a couple years earlier, Pam Grier starred in Coffee, one of the best of the so-called blaxploitation films. Then she made Foxy Brown, a very similar film, but still very watchable nonetheless. Now, by 1975, she was making lousy films like Sheba Baby and Friday Foster, films that were just pale imitations of these earlier successes. Friday Foster finds Miss Grier as a hotshot photographer for Glance magazine. She gets a lead on the arrival of some bigwig and sneaks onto the runway at the airport. Walks into the temperature and says, yeah, blah, 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 the stuff of that. All her brashness is replaced by high-fashion clothing and by the numbers. Oh, wait, yeah. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Too bad her character is more like a black Barbie doll instead of the usual badass she played in her good films. All her brashness is replaced by high-fashion clothing and by the numbers plot that could have been a Charlie's Angels plot. Seriously.
Yeah.
Fair.
I actually don't think that we're going to radically disagree with this review. I'll keep going here. No, this film could have been a lot better.
Think he's attacking it for not having her like.
No, I agree.
Scream at Jim Backus that he's a honky.
The starting place of this, the starting place of this is, but I do agree. Now, this film could have been a lot better. After all, it had a very good cast. However, it all just seems so unreal and poorly written. Pam with a camera instead of a gun just didn't pack much entertainment punch. Heck, you know it's lame when instead of blowing away bad guy Weathers, she shoots him with pepper spray. Lame. Ignoring the fact that Yafet Cotto literally pumps him full of bullets later. I mean,
this
not
is someone
since
who
James
wanted
Caan.
Pam Grier to be
And
the same.
And the thing about that is, it's sort of like, fine, then watch those 18 other there are so many movies that deliver that. And I can't believe why you
we've said before, the thing that really works in this movie, which we say is a weak movie, you're right, but it is the fact that she is able to breathe and be a different character, and she's so freaking charming. If you can't see sir,
that's the thing, is she's great. Yeah. The idea of harping on her character, I don't know expressly. Like I said, I have joked about this before. I always kind of default to assuming these are men, and I feel like most women and people of other genders probably okay with that if I just assume jackasses on IMDb. Anyway, that one I feel like I'm alright with. Let's see, where was I though? There's more to this. Oh, and when the evil assassins strike, they only choose methods with the lowest probability of success. 3 exclamation points on that one.
Wow.
Knives, runaway cars that inexplicably miss the heroine and explode, and gunmen who can't hit anything make for one of the weakest gangs in film history. It sounds like they're describing the henchmen of every single movie I've ever seen, but I don't know.
Jason Bernard at the end, he says, it would have gone great if I hadn't hired such a moron,
Yeah. We briefly mentioned this, so I'll use this as the springboard, though, to really make sure we don't skip over it. The only good hit, and it was great, almost worth seeing the film for, involved a phone booth and a huge truck. Agreed. We didn't talk, we briefly mentioned this. It is one of the most insane things I've seen in a movie. It's Carl Weathers, right, who backs a truck into and squishes our man.
About some of the poor editing choices, but Jesus God, that was really well put together.
That one was, yeah.
What I love is
you honestly think somebody is still in that booth.
Yeah, it's good dummy work.
Flat like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what I needed more of. When you talk about the comic strip vibe of it, I needed more deaths like that actually in the movie insane, or James Bondy kind of stuff, right?
That's not the comic strip as in the comic strip it's based on.
No, but it's comic strip. It's comic-y, I should say.
I guess
it's a violent death, but it's a cartoonish.
Cartoony.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sort of in that James Bond sense, where it's like people die horribly, but in like totally out of real world kind of ways, right? Like that I enjoy.
Well, yeah. If you even like the Brenda Starr adaptations. The deaths are crazy.
Yeah, because the thing
what was that Susan Anton segment of cliffhangers?
That was a Stop Susan something. Yeah, her last name.
We're gonna do that cliffhangers podcast one of these days.
That too. That was because of the cliffhanger style.
Yeah,
they wrote it basically like a serial episode or a.
Well, it was an updated Perils of Pauline.
Yeah.
But the thing,
also kind of Brenda Starr too.
The thing I was going to say that I love about the phone booth death is it requires that phone booth to be closer to a building than anyone would actually put a standing phone booth. It's not a phone on a building. It's not a payphone on a building. Right. It's a phone booth, but it has to be
like 8 inches from a building side.
just so it can be squished by a truck.
Oh, stop Susan
Williams. Considering that in Presence Analyst, the bad guy is, spoiler alert, the phone company, perhaps this is a nod to that earlier film with Godfrey Cambridge, who was one of the actors in Presence Analyst, being killed in a phone booth.
Let's move on.
All right, there is more to this review. This is one of the longer ones.
You're reading the entire dissertation. Okay.
Yeah,
keep going.
yeah.
The doctorate.
Hey, this got them a doctorate. All right, the jurors are all right. If there was a reason to watch this movie, it's so you can see the zombie fashion show about 25 minutes into this film. It's a high fashion show starring a strange Eartha Kitt. By her performance, I think she thought she was supposed to be Catwoman. I think she's always kind of Catwoman.
Jesus.
That's just like, you know.
Did he not see? Has he not seen Boomerang, where she literally plays someone named Strong Gay?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I think it's more that Eartha Kitt and Catwoman just kind of blur in general. Yeah, it's like Eartha Kitt is a presence. As she introduces the models, each comes out in atrocious 70s dresses and moves about exactly like the undead as Kitt purrs like Batman's rival. Seriously. It is meant to be hot, but frankly, it's one of the funnier scenes in a bad exploitation film you can find. Was it meant to be hot? I don't know. I think it's supposed to be kind of weird.
Meant to be
kind of
weird.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I wasn't really sure what the take was.
The backstage stuff was supposed to be hot, but no, I think it was supposed to be kind of silly. Anyway,
I do like when Colt follows her backstage and stops and just looks at this one model who's topless and turns around and goes, and the model goes, and he kind of goes, yeah, my life is pretty good.
Yeah,
he just has this look on his face.
Once again, that's the twinkle I love about the Cotto performance.
When they're trying to get information out of the senator's secretary, and at the same time, Cotto is mouthing, give me your phone number.
Yeah, that's so
I
weird.
did love that.
Yeah, it's like she's like, no, he can't see anybody, and literally Colt is behind Friday and just like going, what's your
It makes
like
me sad, actually. I would have
it
doesn't have to be an actual spinoff of this, but we needed a Yafet Cotto as a James Bond kind of type. I would have watched that movie. Smooth operating secret agent or something. That movie would have been great.
That would have been so great.
He could have really done it. This movie really shows.
I will say, Billy D. Williams also.
God. Fred Williamson, yeah.
It's charming. I'm sorry, not quite.
I do love Fred Williamson, though.
I love Fred.
You've got to love Fred Williamson.
Fred and Pam Grier got to team up
on a number.
Mars Attacks.
Yeah,
that was great.
That was great. And like I said, of course.
No, Fred. Was it Fred or was it Jim
No,
Brown?
it's Jim Brown.
Oh,
it's Jim Brown. I thought Fred Williamson, though, and Pam Grier did do the aforementioned Bucktown together, though, if you want to see it.
Well, I mean, but yes.
Yeah.
That's,
but years later. No, you're right. It is Jim Brown, though. Yes.
It was Jim Brown.
That's why John has Serpico as part of his squad. Because I'm from the streets.
We've got each other's backs.
Yeah.
So
I swear there's more to this review, though.
The Jones brothers, they're different. They're kind of an odd couple.
Yeah.
But they get the job done.
Wait, does this mean I'm the guy who picks up the cigar with my umbrella?
I think that's in that scenario. And once again, this
is the one that says, now it's garbage.
Yeah, now it's garbage.
F you. Pick up the laundry at 2. F you. It took me 3 weeks to figure out F you meant Felix Unger.
Classic. Someday we'll get to the Odd Couple IP squad. No, anyway, I swear there's more to this. There is more to this review. Robin, I think you'll be...
John?
Well, I swear, these reviews don't normally get interrupted this much, so that's the thing where it's not... I think this is a normal length review. Anyway, Robin, I think you might, because this now turns to your favorite character in the movie. Another possible reason to see the movie might be Ted Lang from Love Boat playing a completely stereotypical 70s pimp. Instead of mixing drinks and dispensing wisdom, here he spouts huggy bear-like dialogue that can't help but elicit laughs. I really wish
Bear was never this heavy.
I really wish he'd acted this way on Love Boat.
You know who else wasn't this heavy? Rooster on Beretta. Also not this heavy.
Or perhaps people who hate Godfrey Cambridge would want to see it because this film couldn't help but sink his career. His mincing homosexual routine is pretty embarrassing, as well as awfully offensive when seen today, at least to some in the audience. Sure.
Wow.
I mean, fair. It's a movie from the 70s, though. I go in expecting to cringe at some stuff. Cambridge. Yeah,
you know,
I think it's
about on the level to me of and Vincent Price as Butch the hairdresser. You know, I don't.
Yeah, no, that's I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like you watch enough old stuff, you get used to like I'm kind of my shields are up for like some cringe stuff to come in there, and you just got to move on. A final reason to see the film is to witness the most amazing and warmest winter in Washington, D.C. history.
Yeah.
I grew up there and was amazed to see all the trees were filled with green leaves and people were dressed like it was May. I was there in 1975, but somehow missed out on this anomaly. My recall is the temperatures were in the 30s like every other winter in this city. I also love the mountains in the outskirts of D.C., and no, I'm not talking about the Appalachians. Strange how they looked like the same ones in Los Angeles. Great continuity, huh? However, other than for laughs or curiosity or a hatred of Mr. Cambridge, I just can't see why you'd want to see this until you've seen and enjoyed good blaxploitation movies. Trust me, you can do a lot better than this overly polished but bland film. You know this is a really lame film when Mr. Big turns out to be Jim Backus. So apparently, that's how Thurston Howell III got all his money.
Well, sure.
Well, good.
Yeah.
And he also, you know what? Thurston Howell III slept with his daughter and had a daughter with her. People don't know that. Forget about it, Jake. It's Gilligan's Island.
Oh.
Anyway.
You're still
let's talk about somebody who liked the movie, though. Somebody who liked the movie. This comes to...
John, wait. Let's just say that this reviewer was not vetted properly. They didn't release his medical records and his crippling allergic to fun.
Well, here's somebody who found this movie. This is from IMDb user Yago6, who titles their review. They have a completely different opinion, believe it or not, for this highs and lows segment. Their review is titled "A Total Hoot, Yay, Pam!"
I don't know if I like this guy either.
I'm not sure I can hang with either of these people, but
I don't understand. Right. Here we go. The review starts. I don't understand all the negative reviews this film has received on this site. It's a total hoot. It may not have the story or grittiness of Coffee or Foxy Brown, but it has all the fun elements and plenty of them. I watched Foxy Brown expecting a hilarious time capsule of 70s style slang and B-grade action. I'm surprised it was actually a great movie. This is the movie I expected, and it is great just for being what it is. My favorite scene of all is when Ted Lang drives up in his Cadillac trying to persuade Friday to join his harem. Pam is hilarious in this scene.
Fancy. Everybody loves fancy.
That's not a harem. That is what's called a stable.
Yeah, I thought they were familiar with 70s style slang earlier. But Pam is hilarious in this scene, as is Lang with his wonderful speech about ladies' fine clothes, ride, heavy blow, and best of all, they each have their own personal health and welfare plan. Then cut to the ladies who are the skankiest trash you could imagine.
Wow.
Friday refused. They're actually still, once again, for street prostitutes, looking pretty good by those standards. Friday refuses and Fancy says, well, at least you have to admit my shit is heavy.
And it is. It's been weighed. Why doesn't anyone believe how heavy?
I mean, I don't understand what the previous reviewer missed on that, but
you would agree with this statement then, Robin, about that? I'm sorry, who can resist this? Minutes after this, we see Carl Weathers in his red and white plaid jacket with mirrored sunglasses. Then Cloris throws massive shade at Friday for not running at her beck and call. Then Eartha Kitt delivers the speech about how her new fashion collection, called The Four Seasons of Sex. As you can see, the hits come fast and furious in this little gem.
Wait, those are the hits?
Those are the hits. Special mention must be made to the fashion show. Four women come out very dramatically as this insipid music repeats its four-bar melody over and over and over. They never alter the expression of their faces. They engage in these Vogue-type gestures that are stiff and ridiculous. After a certain point, it becomes this sort of alien pantomime bearing no relation to anything human. Was this supposed to, at one time, be sexy? Once again,
we're still trying to figure that out.
I don't know. These are both reviews seem to, is this what all our sexy Britneys and company will look back and keep in mind, this review from 2004. Just a note there, about that. Will look like in 30 years. Take special note. Yeah, Britney wishes, I will just say.
Heading in that direction.
Take special note of the one in white. She looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon or that floating head from Zardoz, and never alters her living corpse. I thought we would all appreciate a Zardoz reference. Pam,
that part I like.
Yeah, Pam is great.
The Black Lagoon. It looks like she has the same white outfit that Julie Adams has.
Yeah, Pam is great and fun as ever, and she has more to do here than in Foxy Brown or Coffee, as much as I love them. Here she plays more of a human with a sense of humor. There's also a parade of fine-looking men, and that is, there are like 6 eyes in that. You don't forget the fine-looking one, says Friday, which that was a line I did like. There were also quite a few snappy one-liners that went by so fast they're almost hard to catch. Anyway, not the best Pam Grier movie in terms of quality, but maybe the best in terms of fun, laughs, and just the way out there 70s mojo. I think both reviews have some legit points and get lost in some other things.
I agree-ish. I would never use the word hoot.
I have never described anything as a hoot.
And skankiest in the same thing.
No.
And on top of that, I worry that Iago 6 is not fulfilling on the questions that Iago 5 raised. So.
I'm still waiting for Iago 7
Iago
to wail in.
Is not much of an upgrade. They really just changed some of the user interface.
and inserted the word hoot every 5 minutes.
So as I've
added the word hoot to its.
As we always do on the IP Squad, is this if you're putting together your comic strip Pulp Heroes movie night or marathon or whatever, do you put this in the canon of these? Is this a must include?
I would say yes.
I would say no.
I thought it was.
I'd say, like I said, I think it's the most fun I've had with one of these so far.
No, it's very fun.
Yeah,
and it's Pam. But as far as unfortunately, if we're talking about it as being of the pulp and comic strip thing. The comic strip is, and I'm glad that it has resurfaced. There's a nice hardcover now.
That's great.
But it's not anything that people are really tuned into. So in other words, it would not be anyone's first guess, or choice. You would not immediately go, "Oh, Friday Foster should definitely be in there."
Right.
I would have said Modesty Blaze or Brenda Starr before I said Friday Foster, but I'm glad we got to watch this. I just wouldn't include it in a list.
It's a perfect.
You have to see this.
Yeah,
I would include it in a list with Modesty Blaze and Brenda Starr if we were just.
Oh yes, if we were doing like the absolutely.
The
woman hero strips. Yes, absolutely.
I liked it a lot.
Well,
it was a lot of fun.
Next week, I have to say, though, is where things really start to kick off, I think, with next week's episode. Because, I mean, as the poster asks us, pathetic Earthlings, who will save you now? That's right. It's time to meet the man who's here to... It's the man who will save every one of us. He's just a man with a man's courage, damn it.
Yep.
Right,
no one but the pure of heart can find the Holy Grail.
Saying this, in the Mad Magazine parody, Foolish Earthlings, who will shave you now?
God, that is such a Mad Magazine joke.
Has Band-Aid on his forehead.
I am very excited. We're coming to the first one that I already own. I have the 4K Arrow of this. I've seen this movie many times.
Oh wow! I was thinking about getting it.
This is the 4K
I don't have
is
the 4K, but I do have the anniversary edition with all the Alex Ross extra art in it.
That's in that. The 4K Arrow edition also includes all that stuff is in there. The 4K has more stuff too, including the feature length documentary about Sam Jones, which is great.
Which I have seen, but
it's
it wasn't
great.
part of my.
No, it's great. It's great. But no, I
will say there's a lot to be said about how he blew it and how he was treated. It's a combo. Mm-hmm. But I will say this is one of the best ADR performances of all time.
It is.
Whoever came in, I mean, you can tell it's ADR, but at no point do you go, that's not that guy. You're like, wow.
No, it's really it's a good fit.
You just feel like they didn't get the capture on the day of shooting.
It's
Flash Gordon, quarterback. New York Jets.
Yeah. Oh God.
Melody Anderson.
Really looking forward.
Oh my God, this is a movie. A movie I adore. Not to
Raven black hair.
Oh,
because Dale
come on.
Is that where it's going to be next week?
Oh Jesus Christ!
I'm a nitpicker. I pick nits.
But yes, no, not to spoil my, but it's like, this is already a movie I adore and will watch again, but don't need to watch again because I have seen it so many times. But and also we will talk about. Stop. So we'll pick up with Flash Gordon next week on the show.
Boy.
I mean, God, talk about another great cast too.
Dalton.
Oh no, across the board this movie.
Yeah.
Brian, what's his name?
Yeah, Brian Blessed, man. Gordon's alive.
Great. Brian Blessed.
Yeah. So anyway, it's fantastic. We'll talk about that next week on the show. But until then, the case file is closed.